writes Timothy and says, I fought a good fight. Let him know, being me is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not in my suits. You can get suits like me, but they won't make you stand like me. I fought a good fight, baby. I fought one hell of a fight. Are there any fighters in here? Slap somebody and tell them I fought a good fight. I fought my way up. I fought to get to work. I fought to get up on my feet. I fought to stand. I fought to carry on. I fought to love. I fought to live. I fought to get out of bed. I fought with my fears, my doubts, my anxieties, my insecurities. I fought with haters, liars, backbiters, and betrayers. I even had to fight with family.
Your reputation is in God's hands. We all have a desire to have a good reputation. We know how important it is. Our reputation goes before us. It can open doors, cause the right people to come.
Look all around you, look all around you, look all around you. Now look straight ahead. Say, my future is my focus. Amen. You may be seated. I'm going to teach a little bit today. Can I teach?
Faith is now. It's not tomorrow. Now I believe God that He'll take care of tomorrow. Now I believe God that He can take care of the past. But faith has always got to be now.
Here's an opportunity right here in front of me. Things are going well. And then something in your mind and in your spirit says, let me try and figure out a way to f this up.
First year of the new beginning. By the time that first year is finished, you will never again be claimed by the past. Past habits, past influences, past regrets, or past failures.
Like you're an astronaut and you've examined something like up in outer space. No, it's always been there. But you have to be going through all the muck to examine it. And you realize, wow, God, through all this crap, there's a whole other universe over here in my mind.
There might be a very large number of ways to interpret the world, as the postmodernists accurately have it, but there are not a very large number of ways to exist successfully in the world.
I feel that it would be of value to somebody that can hear this and that wants to hear it and that's ready to create some momentum in their lives, wherever their lives might be.
The mentality of how you wake up every day to try to do good in the world. So for me, I'm really driven by continually trying to elevate my mind.
Now, the first 4 habits that help me handle hard times are keep my life clean, keep my eyes open, keep my purpose firm, and keep my heart grateful.
Be reminded about who we are. The doing comes from the being.
What's happening to us and how do we respond, especially as leaders, because we not only are responsible for ourselves, we're responsible for a lot of people.
A good name is worth more than great wealth. But what happens when you're being your best, you're honoring God, but other people do things to tarnish your reputation? Say things that are not true, take things out of context to try to make us look bad, slander, innuendos, rumors. We weren't there to defend ourselves. We couldn't tell our side of the story. Now they've done something that lessens our credibility, makes people have a wrong opinion of who we are.
You may hear that different than I mean it, by the way. My future is my focus. Because sometimes I think we use the future as an excuse to waste today. It is possible to look so far ahead. You can wreck your car looking too far just as easily as not looking far enough.
There's a righteousness revealed in the Word of God that leads us from faith to faith to faith to faith. When you know who you are, you know how much God loves you, then somehow you're able to believe things that just don't make any sense. I mean, I know that I believe things that to most natural people would be totally crazy.
For some reason in your mind, you associate dysfunction with success. You know to do better, but you don't want to do better. Self-sabotage, self-defeat is real. When you show up late, When you are out of shape and your job requires you to be in shape, when you are not working as hard as you know you can work on the job,
you are ready to fly with the eagle, and you will have begun your certain journey toward the last key concept. Success is both a journey and a destination, isn't it? It is both the steady, measured progress toward a goal and the achievement of a goal. Success is an accomplishment, whether it be great or small, and it's an understanding of the potential and power of an entire human life.
When I was in the worst time of my life in Hell Week, I looked at everybody and said, I'm the most trained person here. I've gone through more mental torture than any of you all can even fathom.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the baddest people on the planet. I'm looking at them like this. You guys can't hold a stick. So I started looking at verses like, I don't belong here, versus like, I might be the baddest person to ever come here. Who could have pulled this off?
You see, the marriage is a very interesting balancing act because it has to be good for you and it has to be good for your wife, let's say, but it also has to be good for the two of you, and it has to, and maybe that's superordinate to each of you as individuals, and it has to be good for you in a way that's good for your children, and that has to work in society, and it has to be something that you can play out moment by moment and hour to hour and day to day and month to month and week to week. And you know perfectly well that there isn't much deviation from the straight and narrow path if you're going to play that game.
I want to talk about who we have to be in order to do what we need to do and taking charge of our lives. And I've been reviewing and looking at the young Les Brown from this perspective, some things that I learned that stayed with me.
Elevate my spirit and care for my body, and to be able to love as many people as effectively as possible with this mystery of life that I've been given.
You have to be able to be vulnerable in front of anybody. You know, you have to be comfortable looking silly. You have to be comfortable making mistakes, and you have to break the thing inside of you that doesn't want people to see.
I must keep moving toward my goals. I must keep moving toward my goals. Now, no matter what the circumstances are that I'm facing, I should be moving toward the goal because I believe God has led me to set that goal, and no matter what's going on around me, I'm going to keep moving toward my goal. Once you've written down that phrase, keep moving toward my goal, I want you to circle the word moving.
We live in a world right now that if we're not careful, we become human doings instead of human beings. You weren't just designed to do stuff, you first have to be who God's called you to be. All of a sudden, you start to create a practice in your life that when you wake up and the kids are sick, you're going, I know my kids are sick, but I'm really committed to this practice called ministering to God. He has been faithful to me. I want to show up and worship God today.
I want to talk to you about how to maximize mentoring, and during this crisis time that I'm mentoring him a little bit differently. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. And so I kind of asked him, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, John, he said, you're mentoring me a lot on perspective, because how we view things is how we do things. And he said, you're really helping me to see a bigger picture than what the crisis is. Because remember this, crisis has a tendency to reduce the picture.
It's tempting to try to straighten people out, prove to them that what they're saying is not correct. But if you get on that treadmill, you'll never get off, because there will always be someone saying something not true, mischaracterizing what you did, questioning your motives. Here's the key. You have to put your reputation in God's hands. Let Him defend you. Let Him be your vindicator.
So when I say my future is my focus, I'm not talking about that worrying spirit that tries to keep you playing out every what-if scenario, like you can think of every contingency. When you get kids, you'll understand this. Those of you who are maybe hoping to have kids, you'll understand that you will begin to plan who they're going to marry the moment you find out what sex they are.
Who could have ever started where I started and actually believed that I might be doing what I'm doing today? But I believed it. And guess what? It wasn't easy, didn't happen overnight, but there's nobody that can't recover. No matter what has happened to you in your life, there's nobody that's beyond God's reach. He is a redeemer and a restorer.
When you are giving people attitude because they're giving you an attitude, it's like a cycle of death. It ain't gonna stop. If your goal is to work your way up the success ladder, if you're gonna have a problem with everybody who has a problem with you, do you think that that's gonna help you to get to the top even faster?
Success is an awareness of value, and it's the cultivation of value through discipline. It can be tangible or intangible. Success is a process of turning away from something in order to turn toward something else. From no exercise to exercise, from candy to fruit, from not investing to investing. Success is responding to an invitation to change, to grow, to develop, to become.
Who could have been given a sewer to live in their mind and say, okay, at birth, I'm going to put you in the worst place on the planet Earth, and let me see if you can go to the top of the mountain with nothing, but just hard work, grit, and figuring it out, and not putting yourself back in the dungeon every time something got hard. So that's what became my daily voice was, you really are the baddest person on the planet. And after a period of time, you start to believe that.
Because there's just too many ways of falling into trouble, and there's way more ways of falling into trouble than not falling into trouble. Okay, so that's the first thing. So imagine this. So this is the idea. So the ethic emerges from the bottom up as we learn how to organize ourselves in ever more complex societies, sustainable societies. And we don't know what we're doing. Okay, but then what happens is, because we're insanely curious and capable of self-recognition, we start to tell stories about how it is that we're acting.
I talked to one of my sons, and he wanted to have a conversation that was going to be long, and I said, well, I appreciate this conversation right now, but it's not about stuff that I want to hear. And the thing is that it was not purposeful. And we switched to talk about some other things, which I was fine with.
As soon as you allow people to see, all of a sudden you get access to things that you didn't realize you had access to, right? For example, like a thing I used to do is when I was probably 18 or 19 years old, I got in touch with those blocks. The camera hates emotional blocks. Like, you put a camera in somebody's face and they're uncomfortable about delivering emotion. It looks fake and you feel it. You immediately know it's not real.
Go, do, obey, learn. Action verbs like share, serve, tell, and even battle terms like fight, conquer, overcome, and win. And all three of those metaphors of life require that you take steps, that you move, you take steps, that you make progress.
Or maybe you wake up and it's raining outside, you're like, oh, I know it's going to be a hole, it's going to get wet. I know in Miami we should be used to rain, but we're still not used to rain. But you go, I don't care what the weather is, nothing is going to stop me from showing up and serving and worshiping God. Come on, any believers out there believe that? The purpose of the gathering, first and foremost, is to magnify, it's to worship, it's to minister to God. It's not to minister to God, it's ministry to believers.
It has a tendency for us to begin to go inward and say, oh my, it's happening to me, and it's probably the worst thing that's ever happened, and nobody's probably ever gone like this and gone through this before. And so Mark said, John, you're just constantly keeping a big picture perspective during the crisis for me. He said, secondly, you're just helping me with creativity. And the creativity is the fact that we've all had to change. A business is not as usual. In fact, for some businesses, not, period.
Guard your heart. If you're trying to guard your reputation, you're going to be worn out. That's not your job. Leave your reputation in God's hands. He knows how to change people's minds. He knows how to silence negative voices. He knows how to cause you to be seen in the right light. He hears everything said about you. He sees when people are mischaracterizing you on purpose, trying to make you look bad, questioning your motives.
That's good, but you can take it too far, getting so focused on, what if our kids marry somebody that we don't like? Say it again, my future is my focus. And so a lot of the things that are going on in your mind, I'm just going to be honest with you, you're trying to do too much too soon. You're trying to do too much too soon. You know that feeling you can get in a conversation where you're talking to somebody and then you take it a little too far and you even kind of back up and you say, too far?
Now faith is the title deed of the things we hope for, being the proof of things that we don't see. So let's just say that I came to you and handed you the title to my car. Well, I don't have the car with me. You can't see the car. But if I give you the title, and if you trust my reputation as an honest woman, then you're going to get excited right now because you got a new car.
You know how many times I gotta laugh at shit that ain't funny? You know how many times I gotta go to dinners and events and places and be around people that I don't f with at all? I don't like them. They've made it obvious that they don't like me. But guess what? If it's a game of survival, we're gonna get from where we are to where we're trying to be. Your pride and your ego has been killing your career growth.
To move up to a better place with a better vantage point. But most of all, success is making your life what you want it to be. Considering all the possibilities, considering all the examples, what do you want for your life? That is the big question. Remember, success is not a set of standards from our culture, but rather a collection of personal values, clearly defined and ultimately achieved.
We have two voices in our mind, and boy, I know they're f***ing true. I've heard them. I hear them now. And they're real. It's that one voice, that voice I used to love to hear, that we love to hear. It's that soft voice that says, sleep the f*** in. It's okay. It's that cuddling voice. You want to be hugged and nurtured and all that. That says it's going to be okay.
The stories have two forms. One story is about the structures that we exist in, and that's the stories about other people. And every story is about other people, right? Because we live in a social world. And you never see a story, you never go to a movie, you never read a novel that isn't about society. And no wonder, because that's our environment, society. So stories are about society, and they're about how societies succeed and fail, and they're about how individuals within that society succeed or fail.
How casual some people are about where we are now. And there, to me, there's a level of commitment that one must have in life when things change, when your life has been interrupted, like our lives have been disrupted.
I'd gotten probably 2 weeks into my preparation for the film, and my father was diagnosed with cancer. So we just started talking about love, time, and death. And it was some of the most open and powerful conversations that we'd ever had.
Keep moving no matter what's happening. happening in your life. Keep moving toward the goal God has given you. In times of rapid change, or in times of uncontrollable factors like we've been facing the last couple of years, or in uncertain times where you don't know what's going to happen next, you don't give up on planning and setting goals. No, you simply set shorter goals, short-term goals.
This is a space that believers are to be nurtured, the body. I wonder, why does he call us the body? I think it's because a body is constantly being formed and a body is constantly developing. How many of y'all know that we are all becoming someone or something? The question is, who are you becoming? Who are you becoming? I know where we started. It's been a beautiful journey.
So how do we get creative, and what do we do when we can't do business as usual? So he said, you're helping me with the creativity. And then he said, thirdly, you're helping me balance realism and optimism. And, realism without optimism is so discouraging that we instead of leading together, we're going to have a wake together. And optimism without reality is pie in the sky, and that's not even right for a leader to do that.
You better be grateful, man, that you have to start with yourself. Now love your body, because look at your hands. They have pet so many cute animals and dried so many of your tears. Now look at your feet. They have walked you to some of your favorite places and walked you away from the bad ones. Look at your belly. Think of the days when it's been full and warm with your favorite foods. Look at your legs especially. They have held you up when you thought you weren't strong enough to stand. Look at your eyes. They have seen so many beautiful people. Look at your mouth. It has told so many people that you love them. Your body has been there for you since day one. Love it. It loves you.